Madam Mayor, councillors, thank you for receiving the petition from Hornsey Town Hall Appreciation Society tonight and for giving us an opportunity to talk about the future of Hornsey Town Hall. The original ask in the petition was for the council to consider community asset transfer of the Town Hall and Green, and secondly, to delay the OJU process for 6 months so that a sustainable community-led solution could be established for the Town Hall and Green. We are aware we're in a very different position to when the petition launched over the summer. The OJU process has now officially started, so we are beyond the point where you, the council, can consider transferring the asset to the community yourselves or pause the disposal process. But what the petition represents is the high level of community interest in the future of Hornsey Town Hall and in the safeguarding of community use and access to the building in the long term through community ownership. It's worth explaining at this point who we are and with what legitimacy we speak on behalf of the community on this issue. Hornsey Town Hall Appreciation Society was set up by people drawn from across the community, including the Crouch End Festival and other organisations like the Crouch End Neighbourhood Forum, in order to enable the community to speak with a coordinated voice about the aspirations for the Town Hall. The scale of the petition, now signed by nearly 2,500 people, demonstrates the mandate that we have and the level of support and passion that people have for this wonderful historic asset in the middle of Crouch End. In addition, we've followed the advice of your officers to set ourselves up as an umbrella body to represent the views of different community and arts organisations in Crouch End. We spent the last few months doing this, culminating in a meeting last Sunday with 50 people representing the businesses, arts, cultural and community organisations from across Crouch End and beyond, from Crouch End Open Studios to resident associations to the Hornsey Town Hall Traders Association, all of whom have signed up to the vision of Hornsey Town Hall as an arts and community and small business hub in community ownership with community-led governance that balances the need for commercial sustainability with community benefit. This vision also fully accords with the findings of the community consultation carried out by Hornsey Town Hall Creative Trust earlier this year, which looked at the community, what the community wanted from Hornsey Town Hall in the future. Our MP, Catherine West, also attended the meeting and spoke at length of her support for our vision for community ownership of the Town Hall. As a group, we've assembled the knowledge and expertise that we need to build a project that meets all of Haringey's objectives, as well as learning the lessons from previous initiatives. And we've created the Hornsey Town Hall Community Interest Company in order to promote a community solution. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Chris, who's going to just say a few words.
Thank you. We have seen in prior conversations with individual council members and with council officers a common thread that sort of comes in two parts. The first is the desire to avoid situations which could be perceived as betraying any kind of bias on behalf of council, and to avoid situations that could be seen as giving rise to a conflict of interest when it comes to eventually assessing possible future bids for Hornsey Town Hall on the wider side. If I can address these in reverse order. Firstly, conflict of interest. There is really no conflict here. We are community representatives, and you are community representatives. You have oft repeated your desire to see the best possible outcome, the best possible solution, both for the building and for the wider site, and we have expressed the same. If we both represent the same community, the same constituents, their desires and aspirations, then where is the conflict? The answer is there isn't a conflict. It's a confluence of interest. Secondly, as to the question of perceived bias, you are frankly supposed to have a bias in favor of the community. This should not be a surprise to anyone, really. It is your role as representatives of the community to present the community's own interests and their bias to outside parties. Anyone who's looked through the criteria in the pre-qualification questionnaire will know, by virtue of the weightings you have placed on different categories in those criteria,
you have 30 seconds.
That your bias is plainly in favor of the community. It is true that at some point in the future, we may back a bid, or we may not. You may back a bid, or you may not. But until that happens, until we reach that point, we need to be able to work together to find a solution that works for all of us, really.
I just want to say the last few words. We believe that given where we are in the process, our only route to community asset ownership is in partnership with a developer who may come forward through the OG process. We believe that only a partnership between a developer and the community interest company can provide the surety that the community and you, the council, want for meaningful community use and access in the long term, while still enabling the council to realise the land value inherent in the site, build much needed homes in the borough and remove liability from the town hall. What we wanted to do, we know we're going to spark a debate. Absolutely. We know that as part of this process we can trigger a debate, which we're looking forward to. We just wanted to put forward just a few ideas of the sort of ways...
Sorry, we really have to wind up now. That's
okay.
Well more than 5 minutes. Thank you.
May I just say the last 3 points? 1 point. Really quickly. 1 point. So quickly. We want to know, does Haringey believe that some form of community ownership could offer a long-term assurance of community benefit if backed up by a sustainable business plan? And if so, are you willing to provide encouragement to bidders who pass the PQQ stage be introduced to us, the community, via the Hornsey Town Hall Community Interest Company as representatives of the community? Thank you.
I agree that it would be better if Hornsey Town Hall was owned and run by the local community. Do you feel the council could have given you more time and support to put a bid together?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. You may know that we put in a nomination to list Hornsey Town Hall as a community asset, an asset of community value, rather, which could have bought us time in order to put in a community bid. The legislation is not strong enough to enable that to happen, which we understand, and we know we're in a position where that isn't actually going to be a viable option for us. We can't put a bid in just for the town hall because the town hall sits within a red line of a development site which encompasses the car park and the development land out the back, which we don't have an interest in. We want to be part of a development consortium, so a developer can come forward to build housing, we can take on the town hall and run it for community benefit, and we can be responsible with a developer and historic architect for renovating the town hall to grade 2 star listed standards.
Are there any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Doran and then Councillor Arthur.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to briefly praise both Chris and Miriam for the passionate and articulate way you've made the case for what you're putting forward to, and also congratulate you on bringing forward this debate. Just have to say, as someone who's got the honour not just of living in Crouch End, but also representing residents there, I know how important the town hall is. I know that it not only dominates the town centre, it dominates a lot of conversations locally. No, I can speak for myself.
Could you get to your question, please?
Okay, sorry. I just want to say that the question to put, do you not think it's significant that all the bidders in the process being put forward have to demonstrate the community benefits, and also that the Hornsey Town Hall Community Trust, you mentioned the consultation that they carried out, are part of the process as evaluators of that community access?
Yes, I think it's fantastic that the Trust are part of the evaluation process. I think they're going to have a very important role in assessing the community use and access on behalf of the community. But I think what we're offering is something different. We're offering to bring the building into community ownership in a way that forms a surety and asset locks the asset into community benefit in the long term. We want to work with the developers. We want to do that in partnership. We don't want to be on the outside of the process. We want to be there in the long term. After the developers' interest in the site and have built the housing and have moved on, we want to be there to look after that venue, to look after that asset for the community in the long term.
Councillor Arthur.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to confirm, are we on questions as opposed to Right, so my question was, given that you ran out of time, there were a couple of points that I think you wanted to say at the end, so I wanted just to give you the opportunity to flesh those out since you ran out of time.
Thank you. Actually, the only other points I wanted to make was just to talk very, very quickly about community asset ownership and what that actually means and what that can mean to a community. Bringing the town hall and green into community ownership will help our neighbourhood to thrive and create long-term resilience through social and economic benefits to the area and to the borough. More aims that we know the council will support. We know that this is something that's going to be good for the borough, for the area, for the community and for the building itself. We all believe that this is something that we can work together to engender, which is why we wanted to put forward this idea of community asset transfer, community asset ownership, and look to ways in which the council can support us to do it. The objectives that we'd hope you would debate tonight are about looking at how you can support us, how we can work together. We've put forward a couple of ideas, but we're really interested to hear how you, the council, can work together to see how we can realise our common aims. Thank you.
Thank you. Will now be a debate by councillors only for up to 15 minutes, and at the conclusion, the Cabinet member, Councillor Strickland, will be given 3 minutes to respond to the debate. Councillor Arthur. Councillor Arthur, and then Councillor Doran.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Miriam and the team for coming along. I wanted to just start by echoing what Councillor Doran said. It's absolutely the case that, you know, on doorsteps when you're speaking to people in Crouch End and beyond, there is a clear passion and commitment towards Hornsey Town Hall. People want to see it back in use. I think they appreciate what's happening at the moment with A&A, and they want to see activity like that, particularly with a kind of arts and culture bent. But I think there's also a recognition that, you know, ultimately if the town hall is to be utilised and maximised, it needs to be sustainable as well. Now, in terms of the OJU process, I think it's fair to say if someone was to ask, you know, is the OJU process long? Yes, it is. Is it a bit arduous? Yes, it is. But actually for a grade 2-star listed building, which, you know, has so much passion and so much commitment for it, it's absolutely critical, I think, that we get it right in terms of ensuring that it's financially sustainable, in terms of ensuring that, in terms of the financial liability that the council has on the building, that we are able to remove that, but also that we ensure that there's community access as well. So I guess the quick points that I wanted to make about the OJU process are this. In terms of the criteria for bidders, community access is right at the top. I mean, it actually has the highest weighted quality criteria as part of the process. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that the Appreciation Society will be on a schedule of organisations who want to be involved in operating the building. I think what I would say, though, and what I feel quite strongly, is that although it's fantastic that the Appreciation Society is involved, we absolutely need to make sure that we're not too prescriptive with bidders, who they work with and how they work with them. So we'll absolutely encourage all of the bidders to get in touch with the organisations on the list, but we can't tell them how to work with them and what that partnership should look like. And I think ultimately we need to be as open as possible to the different types of innovative bids that might come through. So just to say thank you again for bringing this up tonight. I think it further illustrates how important and critical it is to get the process right with the town hall, how important it is to make sure that voices like yours are heard as part of the process, and hopefully we can come to the end of the process having a solution which everyone can really get behind.
Thank you. Councillor Doran.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to really add to that and echo the points of how important this is to the community, and say that I know that the leadership of the council feels the same, but the process has to be a process that we get right, and it has to be one that delivers genuine positive benefits to the community, but also meaningful access to the public to that building. I just want to say a brief few things. I alluded to my question about the Hornsey Town Hall Creative Trust. My experience of that organisation from when I joined it when I was elected as a council it's filled with people who have a genuine commitment to the community. They're rooted in the community, but also in the history of the town hall. I know they've done extensive consultation, not just this year, but throughout the 10 years that they've been involved. There's always been that close link with the community, and I think it is hugely significant. The fact that, as Jason said, as Councillor Arthur said, all bidders have to demonstrate that level of commitment to the community, and that the creative trust themselves will be represented there in evaluating. I do think it is really important, and backs up what I was saying about the commitment that the council has to making sure the right outcome comes out of this process. I also just want to say to praise the Appreciation Society. I think the commitment that you have to the vibrant town centre that is Crouch End, but also making sure there's a good outcome for the town hall, that's one I share, absolutely. And I think it's great that you brought this debate here tonight. And I just want to finish by saying something about commercial uses and community benefit. There's been a bit of discussion amongst certain people in the community when talking about this issue as if they're in conflict. I think actually in the last couple of years we've seen some really positive things in Crouch End, whether that's the Haringey Hall, whether that's the Art House Cinema, where really genuine positive benefits to the community go alongside commercial uses. I hope we can get that again out of this process.
Thank you very much. Could I now ask Councillor Elliott to speak?
Great impassioned speech, Miriam, wonderful. I have to say that as a Crouch End councillor, the one thing I would really like to see through in my term here is for the town hall to have a wonderful outcome, because that building, what we do with it now, is going to be happening probably for the next 50 or 100 years. We're really building something properly for the future there, and the town hall square. I'm very passionate that that space should be really working hard for Crouch End, which is not at the moment. I have to echo what everyone's saying here. Community access really is at the top of the list. We've sat in the meetings, we've pushed for it. I personally have pushed for the community access to be right at the top of the list, and it is. I can't see any evidence that nobody wants that to happen. I asked a question in Cabinet, I got the answer. If we don't get the bids we want, we don't get the solutions, we will go back to the drawing board, and we need to hold, you need to hold the council to that, I need to hold the council to that. And what we don't want is a shopping centre. I believe it may have been you who sent an email around about a town hall in South London that now has a McLaren buggy showroom, and I'm sure we don't want that type of commercial outcome for our town hall. So let's make sure that the commercial any commercial outcomes we have properly input to the community, provide the money that the community needs to subsidise all the things we want to be able to allow the community to do in an affordable way. So, I wish you luck. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. As there are no other contributions, as far as I can see, I'll ask Councillor Strickland to respond, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I hadn't considered a McLaren buggy showroom, so we'll add that to the list. Thank you very much, Miriam, for your impassioned speech. It's been really great to work with you and your colleagues in the time that I've been responsible for Haringey Town Hall. And I think, I think we've been honest all along. This is a fantastic building, a real gem of a building, not just for our borough, but internationally. And this is a building that's very difficult. It has challenges, it has problems. There's no easy solution to this. So we really do need, as we discussed before, to make this a real team effort. Not just the council, but have the whole community and others involved. Just to pick up some of your particular points, really what you stressed tonight, you stressed in your written petition documentation, was how keen you were to see a partnership approach. So it's not just the council sort of getting on with it, but there is a real partnership. And hopefully we've been clear all along through the public meetings we had, the workshops we had, which you and others attended, which are really helpful, that we are very open and very keen to see partnership bids come forward. And as Councillor Arthur mentioned, what we've done is to put together a list of organisations like yourselves who are very keen to be involved in that bidding process, who are very keen to work with the sort of prime bidders who might come forward. And as you know, your organisation is on that list. That list has been and is being sent to bidders as people get in touch. So we're very much encouraging exactly the sort of partnership working that you discuss. The other key thing I think to say is, though, that we have to obviously look across the community, and just that you're a very passionate organisation, there are also others who are very keen to get involved who are equally on the list. And of course, that's why, to answer Chris's point, we do have to be impartial. We are running a public procurement process, and we do have to be seen to be fair and to be objective. But I think, given how fantastic this building is, I think that's absolutely crucial. That we don't enter into any agreement because we like one group or another, but this is properly tested through a proper independent process. The other thing to say, I think, is just to reassure in terms of the community use and community access. And there are a couple of key things that we've worked hard on. The first is that the bidding documentation has minimum requirements and minimum standards, so people who are not prepared to offer that on community use simply do not have their bid even read. It falls the first hurdle. As Jason said, there's then a significant weighting for community use, and that really pushes and tests bidders and makes really clear if you're not committed to engaging with the community, you're not committed to giving proper access, and if you're not committed to thinking of innovative ways of doing that, rather than just putting a ping-pong table in the basement, as is often said, then you're not going to do well and you are not going to be picked. And also, as part of that, people have to demonstrate they've got a clear track record of that sort of community involvement, which I think is really important. And it's also important to say that that criteria that usually be agreed by officers and a cabinet member were thrashed out and discussed between me, the ward councillors, Councillors Elliott, Arthur and Doran over some months, and a representative of the trust. So which means that we have, and the three of them were very powerful advocates, we have really tried to engage as many people as possible. So to conclude, Madam Mayor, we agree on partnership. We're very glad you're on that list. You're on that list. It's going to bidders. And we wish you all the best with your discussions with those bidders to bring forward a really good plan.
I'd like to thank Ms Levin for her address. That completes the deputations and petition item. Can I now ask that the deputies and petitioner and their supporters withdraw from the council chamber, but you're more than welcome to observe the remainder of the meeting from the public gallery if you wish.